Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda today.
Are there any declarations of interest for renewing today? Seeing none. And can I have approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of September 9, 2014? Moved by Councillor Ferguson, second by Councillor Partridge. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the... Oh, we've done that. Okay. Discussion items is the naming of Rotary Creekside Parkette. That's Ward 13. Any discussions on this item?
Is Arlene okay with this? Is everybody talking to her?
Yes, staff consulted her and she is...
Okay, I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Are we going too fast?
Just if you could give me just one moment, please.
Yes, she's just trying to get the paperwork. Or should we be calling Joey to get the...
And he's not set up either yet.
Actually, I'm fully running.
Oh, good. Okay, well, we can talk then. Okay, yes, please go on.
Okay, thank you. So that's done. Item 4.2 is the renaming of the Crown Point Park to the Honorable Bob McKenzie Park. Councillor Morrow.
So I could just move that staff be formally asked to contact the family and implement the renaming of Crown Point Park to the Honorable Bob McKenzie. That'd be greatly appreciated. I have a second by Councillor Farr.
So direction, moved by Councillor Morrow, second by Councillor Farr. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone. And that, sorry, there's a lot more than what I need in here, so I'm just making sure.
4.3.
I wasn't sure who was going to be my chair and how much information I needed to pass on.
Okay, so this is the 4.3 is the Corporal Nathan Cirillo Leash
I'll second it.
Park. So we're moving the naming of that.
I'll
Moved
move
by
that.
Councillor.
I'll second it.
Oh, I second it.
Oh, sorry.
Cirillo.
Third.
All in favor?
Carried.
Thank you, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, then we have, do we need to do the exact verbiage that's here, Madam Clerk? You're okay, thank you. Item 4.4 is the renaming of 60 Marmot Court, Dundas, and we're naming it, let's see.
Thomas Baker requested.
Yes.
So moved.
I'll second.
And again, I'm going to ask the question Councillor Marilla asked, is Councillor Vanderbeek okay with this?
We haven't actually consulted as of yet because this was just received through clerks. So now we would go back and write the report.
Okay.
We should table it until we know what our...
I will direction back to staff to complete the report and speak to the word councillor and come back. Moved by Councillor Partridge. Second by Councillor Ferguson.
Carried.
All in favor? Carried. 4.5. 4.5 is, there's no copy, so this is on Victor K. Copp's naming opportunities. Yes,
Madam Chair. Just on this particular issue, I think this was subsequent to...
Right.
We started before 10?
We started at 10.
10:04, so, okay.
We started
I came right in.
We're way on time.
Your clock is wrong.
So the Victor K. Copp scenario, I think it's important that we address this only because I think the catalyst was when we went to first, what's the name of it now?
First Ontario
First
Centre.
Ontario.
Yes.
In honor of
In
Victor K.
honor
Copp.
of Victor K. Copp. There was a discussion at the time that we seek out other opportunities on behalf of Mr. Copp. And saying that, I think we don't have any opportunities at this point to pursue. But is staff, have we shortlisted this at all, or do you need direction today in order to shortlist it?
I think we were hoping for some direction. We have a few options, one being Pure 4, another being Hillcrest Park, which is a smaller park.
Right. Okay, now, on the Pure 4 scenario, I think it's important to recognize relevance, and I think in essence, Pure 4 is more along the lines of former Mayor Bob Morrow, who at that time led the charge with respect to the cleanup as well as the development of that. So if I would like to move that formally at the appropriate time. With respect to Mr. Cox, I think we should seek out other alternatives, as well as, I'm not sure formally we've even addressed the Sheila Cops component of this, but I'd like to formally address that as well, because that's been a long-standing issue as well, outstanding issue. So, I know there are a number of motions in there, but the first being Pure 4, I think we should isolate for former Mayor Bob Morrow. Secondly, we need to focus in on Sheila Cops and addressing the naming of some sort of entity for her. And thirdly, was the Victor Cops scenario, an alternative for Victor Cops.
Please have a speaker's list. I've got Councillor Farr, Councillor Ferguson, Councillor Whitehead.
So I appreciate that. Some of the points, to my recollection, and maybe staff can verify through you, Madam Chair, when dealing with Sheila, who was representing the family, the turnover to Global Spectrum, and obviously the renaming, it still includes Victor K. Cops, as the previous speaker noted. We had a process where it was passed along to the Facility Naming Subcommittee, and I'm glad to see it here. I actually looked at the committee agenda backwards, and I saw the review of outstanding business and didn't see it, and then I saw, oh, it's a separate issue, which is good, because I think as a council, it is an outstanding item. We did speak to, I believe, on the record, passing it along, that we would find a replacement facility or park or street or something to honor Victor K. Cops, so I'm glad it's forward. My recollection from that was, and I participated in sending out emails to all of council to offer suggestions. There wasn't a great amount of feedback, but it was a very busy time. So I can tell you, just based on not having communication since that issue transpired with Sheila, who again was representing the Cops family, and working with my office since, I'm sure that if we do follow through and looking at a variety of different issues as it relates to the Cops family, to Sheila, to her father, and do it with a great deal of attention to particularly, I think, the outstanding business of relocating the name Cops somewhere. I think that they'll be sufficiently satisfied, and I'm more than happy to follow up with Sheila accordingly when things start to evolve. So to that end, is that not correct through you to staff that we had left it where councillors were offering the facility subcommittee members options or opportunities or suggestions, and did maybe some send or some suggestions come forward that I didn't see, or do we just have a limited amount there?
Do you want me to offer just, we're not working with, if I remember correctly, Councillor Merlin, it was yourself and Councillor Collins. We're working with Sheila.
This has been a long,
It's been a while to deal with something that the family felt would be appropriate, correct?
That's right.
So is that?
So in essence, this is how the discussion, we should have formalized it at that time, which we did, but Pier 4 was definitely in reference to Bob Morrow. That then was put on hold when we appointed him as councillor for obvious reasons. So that needs to move forward. The Sheila Cobb scenario, we were discussing at that time in and around where Sarcoa is, or the Haida, something in that vicinity, as a result of her legacy attached to that project. And Victor K. Cobbs, we're retaining it on the Cobbs Arena, or at the first Ontario Place Arena, and looking for an alternative. But the relevance was the issue, and where could we focus in on it? And the front of City Hall was discussed as a possibility. So that was where we left it at.
Okay.
Didn't formalize it.
So just one other item then, and I know I was aware that Councillor Collins and Marula had been in talks for many years on this, and I only really inserted myself when we had the renaming of Cops Coliseum to First Ontario Centre in honor of Victor K. Cops. One of the things we talked about with Sheila, maybe the best course of action is to actually have a representative from this committee or staff reach out to Sheila, who again was the spokesperson. Because one of the things she talked about, and it may be helpful here, where we can get a trifecta going on one issue, the family is actually open to have a discussion about one facility or park or street or whatever we name after the entire Cops family. So include Victor, include Sheila, and Geraldine, of course. So that might be part of the conversation. I don't know if it'll head that way, but I do recollect Sheila and I having that conversation.
What Pier is Sarcoa?
Pierce 8.
See, now that to me would make.
And we currently call it the Waterfront Trust Center, so that's, yeah.
It would be, she was instrumental.
She brought it forward.
So can I move that, I mean, is that,
That's a great suggestion.
we already have three.
Those are the actual items, yeah.
Right.
So just add the amendment that we
Contact.
reach out to Sheila.
Perfect.
We're just in discussion right now.
Well, I did bring forward a motion.
Yes, we'll come back to you for that. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds great with the
Yeah, so
amendment
I need
that
to
we
make sure
contact
that-
Sheila as a representative of the Cops family.
So, Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, that sounds like it. One, we're rightly naming, after a lot of politicians today, we're a little bit pushback if we don't have a staff report on this, just to make sure we know exactly what we're doing, how it complies with the policy, that the family's been contacted to make sure they're comfortable. So if that's a motion to refer it to staff to do that, and if you want the chair or someone to reach out to the Cots family again and have them be comfortable with this, or a staff person reach out to the Cots family, that would be fine too. I thought though that the current operator of Cots Coliseum, and while you're right, Jason, it is on the facade, that in honor of Victor K. Cots, still out there in front of the building, weren't you going to name a room or a facility inside of the Victor K. Cots boardroom?
The actual bowl, the actual field.
Have they done that?
I don't think so. I don't know
I'd
for
like to
certain
get an update on that when this is referred to staff.
what element of FOC is currently named, yeah.
That's all.
Just for committee's information, we first started dealing with the Victor K. Cops naming came from General Issues Committee in January 2014.
Okay.
That's good.
And being an original member of this committee, I can tell you that, Councillor Cirillo and I moved both the Sheila Cox and Bob Morrow piece that's been sitting on the outstanding agenda since then. Just to remind my colleagues around this table, Bob Morrow was instrumental in securing, after it was reneged by the Pearson government, $10 million for cleanup of the Harbourfront Park. I think that speaks volumes. He was key to the negotiations to get that done. So, from my perspective, it makes sense to name Pier 4 after Bob Morrow. Sheila Coswell, maybe a bit of conflict, but I was certainly there. No, actually, I was with the city at the time when we negotiated the deal to open up the waterfront, release the lands that are surplus to the shipping navigation needs of the Port Authority to settle a $100 million lawsuit. And I can tell you she has a lot of health scars in regards to some of her colleagues in getting that deal done. Credit to Sheila, we have more waterfront that we can enjoy and open to the general public as a result of her good and hard work. So I'm certainly very, very supportive of moving as expeditious as practical to find a resolution, certainly to those two things. I'm sorry, I'm a bit late, I was just doing an interview, but I want to highlight, I know I missed it, but I just say it anyway. I was doing a lot of thinking, and I thought that on the Cirillo thing, when I think about it, I think about an individual who put on a uniform and took on a role that was, where you wouldn't expect that you're putting yourself at risk. The fact that we're naming something out Cirillo signifies to me, and probably many Canadians, that you're not safe in uniform anywhere anymore. And I think that is a very profound and powerful statement. And I think that the city, taking the position it did, reminds us that you're not safe in uniform, whether you're abroad or in the country. And I want to highlight that because I think that's primarily one of the reasons why I support the motion that we passed earlier today. And my last piece is, we do have an outstanding one, and that is, and I've brought this before, and I think we're still waiting for the policy to come forward, is Sean Eade McGraw. Her mom lives in my ward. He's a Purple Heart recipient. He's an engineer that saved many military people on three circuits in Afghanistan. I think he is certainly a deserving individual. When you look at the high regard he's bestowed upon him by the government of Canada. So I'm hoping sooner than later we can address, and we did identify a parquet on the mountain that currently does not have a name, so it's not displacing anything. That he spent a lot of time in, that would be in an ideal location. So I look forward, and I'm only raising it now, Madam Chair, because I know we're not dealing with it today, but I just want to put on record that we will be dealing with it. And I'm hopeful that the policy will enable heroes like Sean Eads to be recognized in a proper way.
Just on that point, Madam, just for point of clarity, I don't believe the Canadian military gives out Purple Hearts, but they're
Purple, whatever it is.
they're an equivalent, so.
They give wound stripes on the uniform.
Yeah.
Just for a point of clarity.
So, thank you for that clarification. I know it's purple something.
Okay, so we're going to go back. I've exhausted the speakers list. Councillor Cirillo, your motion, please?
Yes, so it's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Farr. that, that the Pier 4 Park be, that staff report back on the renaming of Pier 4 Park to Bob Morrow Park, that Pier 8 be assessed as a renaming for the Cox family in honor of Sheila, Victor, as well as Geraldine. And that any other alternatives be also provided. And that the staff and or chair of the committee reach out to Mrs. Sheila Cox related to this configuration.
Right.
Okay, on that, and I just want to ask, sorry, my apologies, but staff also, we have on the unfinished business list, the policy with regards to naming your mayors, is that correct? That's a review coming back. Just want to be sure that's on there. Okay, all in favor? Carries.
Just for clarity, I think the motion was stated that the chair or a staff member, it should be, I think, the chair and the staff member. So
Okay, fair enough.
All in favor?
Carried.
Thank you, everyone. So now we're on to, everything's done as far as the agenda, we're just going to review the outstanding business list. So staff, I noticed a number of TBDs to be determined. Running through item A, correspondence respecting Corporal John Richard Toole, I'm sorry, is, that's again with regards to the policy for the military, so we're putting that on one umbrella.
Madam Clerk, sorry, I do need to go to Veterans
Yeah,
Committee next
that's
course.
fine, no problem, Councillor, thank you for your contributions,
Thank
Mike.
you.
That's where I went.
And we're going to go on, so item C, that stays on, we're looking at that, correct? B and C. D, I thought this one, the commemoration recognition of Royal Rolenberg, I thought that was done, was it not? Yes,
If I may, Madam Chair, we understand from Ken Coit and Culture that they're working on a public art project to
Right.
recognize the gentleman, and it is being included as part of their public art master plan update.
Okay, but as far as facility subcommittee, we don't need this on the outstanding business list, we've
Don't
approved the
believe so.
naming of it. Correct. And we did approve the location outside of Churchill Park, correct?
Yes.
Do you want me this until we verify, but I'm not positive that it was all done.
It's Churchill, yes.
Yes, it's all done, we've approved it, was ratified at council, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we can remove that. Can I have a motion to remove item D then, moved by Councillor Partridge, second by Councillor Farr, all in favor?
Carried.
Thank you. Because the funding issues and the art and stuff, that has nothing to do with us. Then, again, proposed memorial for the late Coleman Benyon at Peace Memorial Park. I don't see anything as a date in here. Was this not addressed?
If I may,
Yes, thank you.
this is, this actually has stayed on the outstanding business list as a request from Councillor Jackson, because we're actually going to address it through a commemorative tree or bench. But he, in a previous meeting, I believe, he wanted this to stay on the OBL until the bench was placed for the tree memorial, even though it's not a facility naming
Right.
duty. So
And what's the issue with the bench or a tree?
we're just working with the people who wanted the memorial, and just working with them and Councillor Jackson on placing it. They haven't actually applied yet, so it's just process, and then,
So let me speak to him, because technically we don't need it on here.
No.
It's nothing that we're doing. I'm just trying to clean this stuff
Yes.
off. Okay, so I'll speak to Tom. Thank you. And last is the draft naming policy. Updates, questions, comments from staff, because there's no date. Refresher? Yes.
If I may, we've spoken with the clerk's office. We're targeting the next meeting. Potentially that could be towards the end of August.
And that's naming policy with regards to the...
So be updating the naming policy, and we'll
Okay,
also
all of it.
include the update on the mayors.
Okay, I got you.
May I, being new to the committee, Madam Chair, request, and just direct, and if it's already done, let me know and I'll go seek it out, but I'm really interested in knowing the history of names by profession. If we could have some kind of breakdown, how many politicians, military people, nurses, doctors, community members. I'm not looking for great bios, but just a breakdown. I know that it's a great deal of work, I'm in no hurry, but I'm interested to see where we've where we've named and whom.
So Councillor, are you just referring to since the inception of the Facilities Naming
Yeah,
Subcommittee?
yeah, I'm very interested in that.
That should
And
be
the committee started 10 years ago?
approximately 2006.
Yeah, thanks.
2005 was that? Yes.
Actually, now that I think of it, if I still have the floor, if it's not difficult, all of our facilities, prior to even the Facilities Naming Subcommittee. And I'm not in a big hurry, I'm just out of curiosity, and if there's that information already exists, names and by profession or contribution, then just lead me to that file, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor White.
I don't know, would that conclude all neighborhoods? Because we have a lot of neighborhoods that are named after people. I could tell you that, I don't know how they did it in the old days, but there's no connection between some of these names and the actual areas that those names took place. So I'm hoping on a move forward basis that part of the criteria in regards to naming, there's got to be a connection between whoever you're considering and what you're looking at naming. But to name somebody in Stony Creek after somebody in Ward 8 that never stepped a foot in Stony Creek doesn't make a lot of sense at all, for example. So I just want to hope that we create that criteria. And lastly, I would hope at the next meeting that we can deal with or revisit the Sean Eats request for the sanatorium parkade.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's just direction into staff, is that okay? Super, thank you. Seeing no other,
Just on that,
Councillor Ferguson?
Robert, you tend to bring back the military policy at the next meeting, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, which, then we can deal with the sergeant's position.
Perfect.
If I may, to the chair, the draft revisions to policy will include content to consider for mayors, so that we have kind
Okay,
of
so
a new
it'll all-
category, as well as military personnel.
That's what I want to be sure. Excellent. Okay, so seeing no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Councillor White, Councillor Burke. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.